Before you click away, let me ask you something uncomfortable. Why does the woman you care about pull back right when things feel closest? That moment isn't random, and it's not weakness. It's a psychological alarm going off, and most men never learn to hear it. If this resonates, pause for 1 second and subscribe, and tap like, because what we're unpacking tonight will change how you see connection forever. I'm speaking to you as a psychologist, and as a woman who has watched men misread this signal again and again. When a woman pushes you away at the exact moment desire deepens, she's often protecting something fragile, not rejecting you. Intimacy activates old memories, expectations, and fears that live below language. When closeness feels real, the nervous system asks a dangerous question: is it safe to want this? For many women, safety was once paired with loss, control, or disappointment. So the body learns a rule long before the mind does. You might notice distance, sudden coolness, or a polite smile replacing warmth. To you, it feels like a test you failed. To her, it's a reflex. The more she wants you, the louder that reflex can become. Desire raises the stakes, and high stakes awaken self-protection. This is not manipulation, it's conditioning. And when men chase harder, explain louder, or demand clarity, they accidentally confirm her fear that closeness equals pressure. Here's the truth most advice won't tell you. Attraction grows where calm and curiosity meet. When she steps back, your job is not to disappear or to pursue aggressively. It's to remain grounded, present, and emotionally consistent. That steadiness tells her nervous system a new story. That connection doesn't have to cost her freedom or self-respect. You become predictable in the healthiest way. If you've ever felt confused, rejected, or triggered by this push and pull, you're not broken. You're standing at the edge of a deeper understanding. Stay with me. We're going to translate these behaviors into clarity, so you can respond with strength instead of fear, and build something that doesn't collapse the moment it starts to matter. Listen closely now, because awareness is power. When you master this moment, you stop guessing and start leading with quiet confidence. And that shift is what invites her forward without force, games, or emotional exhaustion. It works when patience meets courage, and presence replaces panic. Always. One of the most subtle behaviors you'll notice when a woman is hiding deep feelings is emotional contradiction. Her words may say one thing, but her behavior tells a quieter, truer story. She might say she wants space, yet she never fully disconnects. She checks in, watches your reactions, stays just close enough to feel you. This isn't confusion, it's ambivalence rooted in fear. Wanting someone while fearing the cost of wanting them creates internal tension, and tension leaks out sideways. As a psychologist, I see this pattern constantly. When feelings deepen, a woman often becomes more controlled, not more expressive. She edits herself. She becomes careful. You may sense her holding back laughter, vulnerability, even affection. This restraint is not a lack of attraction, it's an attempt to regulate emotion before it overwhelms her. Desire feels like losing control, and control often equals safety. Another behavior is sudden self-focus. She may prioritize work, hobbies, or independence more intensely, right when emotional intimacy increases. Men often misread this as disinterest. In reality, it's a grounding strategy. When feelings threaten to pull her toward attachment, she re-anchors to her identity. It's her way of saying, I need to remember who I am before I risk becoming us. You might also notice she becomes more observant of you. She listens more than she speaks. She asks indirect questions or brings up hypothetical scenarios. She's assessing emotional safety without exposing herself. Think of it as quiet data collection. She's trying to predict the future without stepping fully into it. What matters here is how you respond. If you interpret these behaviors as rejection and react with withdrawal or resentment, you reinforce her fear. If you pressure her for reassurance, you confirm her belief that closeness leads to emotional demand. The healthiest response is steady warmth without expectation, presence without agenda. This is where masculine emotional maturity shows, not in dominance or detachment, but in tolerance for ambiguity. You don't need to solve her internal conflict. You need to show that you can stay regulated while she navigates it, that you won't punish distance or exploit vulnerability. When a woman senses that you're grounded enough to allow her space without disappearing, something important shifts. her nervous system starts to relax. Safety grows, not from words, but from consistency over time. That's when the wall slowly lowers. Not because you forced it down, but because it no longer feels necessary. This is the psychology beneath the push away. And once you understand it, you stop personalizing her fear and start becoming the calm center she didn't know she was searching for. Another behavior that confuses men is when a woman becomes unexpectedly critical or distant right after a meaningful moment, a deep conversation, a shared laugh that lingered too long, a look that said more than words ever could. You feel closer than ever, and suddenly she's irritated, guarded, or emotionally flat. This shift is not about you messing up. It's about emotional exposure. When a woman feels seen, truly seen, it activates vulnerability. Vulnerability is powerful, but it's also risky. If her past taught her that openness leads to disappointment, betrayal, or loss of control, her psyche will attempt to regain balance. Criticism and emotional withdrawal are common defense mechanisms. They create distance without requiring her to admit fear. You may notice she focuses on small flaws, a tone you used, a delay in texting. Something insignificant becomes important. This isn't manipulation. It's the mind searching for reasons to pull back so the heart doesn't go too far forward. If she can justify distance logically, she doesn't have to confront the emotional truth underneath. There's also the behavior of minimizing the connection. She might downplay what happened or reframe it as casual, even if it clearly wasn't. This is emotional containment. By shrinking the meaning, she shrinks the risk. Men often feel invalidated here, as if the moment didn't matter, but it mattered enough to scare her. Here's where many men lose leverage without realizing it. They argue with her perception. They insist the moment was real. They push for acknowledgement. While understandable, this approach backfires. Emotional safety doesn't grow through debate. It grows through acceptance. The strongest move you can make is to stay emotionally available without trying to define or force the connection. You don't retreat into coldness, and you don't over-explain. You remain open, but self-contained. That balance communicates confidence and emotional security at the same time. A woman who is hiding deep feelings is watching closely how you handle her defenses. If you become reactive, she learns that closeness creates instability. If you become detached, she confirms her fear of abandonment. But if you stay calm, warm, and consistent, you quietly disarm the defense. This is how trust is rebuilt at a nervous system level. Not through grand gestures, but through your ability to tolerate emotional fluctuation without losing yourself. When she realizes she can pull back without losing you and move forward without being trapped, something changes inside her. That's when the push away softens, not because the fear disappears overnight, but because you've shown her something rare. That intimacy with you doesn't require armor. And once that realization takes root, her guardedness slowly gives way to desire that no longer needs to hide. There's a quieter behavior most men overlook because it doesn't look dramatic. It looks polite. When a woman is hiding deep feelings, she often becomes excessively reasonable. She avoids conflict. She softens her opinions. She says she's fine, even when something clearly shifted. This emotional smoothing isn't indifference, it's containment. She's managing herself so she doesn't reveal how much she cares. As a psychologist, I can tell you this pattern usually comes from learning that expressing needs leads to disappointment or rejection. So instead of risking honesty, she chooses harmony. But harmony without authenticity is not peace. It's tension under control. When she downplays her needs, it's often because acknowledging them would mean admitting attachment. You might also notice delayed emotional responses. Something meaningful happens, but her reaction comes days later, subtly, indirectly. A comment, a message, a shift in tone. She processes emotion internally before allowing any of it to surface. This delay protects her from impulsive vulnerability. It gives her time to decide whether it's safe to feel what she's feeling. Another sign is heightened sensitivity to your mood. She reads you closely. A slight change in energy feels louder to her than it should. That's because emotional investment increases vigilance. When someone matters, their emotional signals carry more weight. She's not anxious by nature. She's attentive because the stakes feel higher than she wants to admit. Here's where many men misinterpret restraint as lack of passion. In reality, restraint often sits right next to intensity. She's not cold. She's regulating. And the more she regulates, the more she needs you to be emotionally steady, not perfect, steady. If you become unpredictable, distant, or inconsistent, her restraint tightens. If you become warm but demanding, she retreats further. What works is calm reassurance without pressure. You don't need to fix her feelings. You don't need to extract confession. You need to model emotional honesty through your actions. When you respond with grounded presence, something subtle happens. She begins to feel permission to relax her guard, permission to be less composed, permission to want without self-judgment. This doesn't happen through confrontation. It happens through repetition, through your ability to show up the same way, whether she's open or closed. Men who master this stop chasing clarity and start creating safety. And safety is not boring. Safety is what allows desire to deepen without fear. When she realizes that she doesn't have to manage herself so carefully around you, her emotions stop hiding. They don't rush out all at once. They emerge naturally because they finally have room. That's when the connection shifts from cautious to real. Not louder, not dramatic, just solid. And that solidity is what most people mistake for luck, when it's actually emotional skill. There is a behavior that feels especially personal to men, because it looks like mixed signals. When a woman is hiding deep feelings, she may oscillate between warmth and distance without warning. One day she's open, playful, engaged. The next she's slower to respond, emotionally muted, harder to read. This isn't a game. It's an internal negotiation between desire and self-protection happening in real time. What's important to understand is that attraction doesn't always feel safe when it's genuine. Casual interest is easy. Deep interest is disruptive. When she feels herself getting pulled in, part of her wants to surrender to the experience, and another part wants to regain control. That push and pull shows up as inconsistency, not because she wants power over you, but because she's trying to regain power over herself. You may also notice that she opens up about personal things, then later acts as if that vulnerability never happened. This emotional retreat is common after self-disclosure. The moment passes, and she reevaluates. She wonders if she revealed too much, if she lost composure, if you now have leverage, so she compensates by pulling back. Men often respond by trying to restore the closeness immediately. They reference the moment. They seek reassurance. They try to lock in what felt good, but this urgency can make her feel cornered. It frames intimacy as something that must be maintained rather than something that can breathe. The counterintuitive truth is that emotional space strengthens bonds when it's paired with consistency. You don't punish her distance, and you don't chase her warmth. You stay steady. You let her experience closeness without fear of consequence. That steadiness tells her that connection doesn't trap her, and distance doesn't cost her you. Another subtle sign is humor, used as deflection. She may joke when things get serious or emotionally charged. Humor allows her to touch intimacy without fully entering it. It's a pressure valve. Don't shut it down. Don't overanalyze it. Let it exist while you remain emotionally present. The men who handle this well don't try to decode every shift. They focus on who they are being, not what she is doing. They stay aligned with their values, calm, self-respecting, open, but not dependent on her emotional state. When a woman feels that she can move toward you without being consumed and step back without being abandoned, her nervous system starts to settle. And when it settles, the inconsistency fades, not instantly, gradually, because she no longer needs it. That's when hidden feelings stop hiding, not because she was forced to choose, but because she finally feels safe enough not to fight herself anymore. Another behavior that often goes unnoticed is over-intellectualizing emotion. When a woman is hiding deep feelings, she may talk about emotions instead of from them. She analyzes dynamics, discusses timing, logic, or circumstances, but avoids naming what she personally feels. This creates a sense of emotional distance, even while the conversation sounds thoughtful and engaged. It's a way to stay close without becoming exposed. You might hear phrases that sound mature and reasonable, but feel oddly detached. She's not being dishonest. She's translating emotion into something safer. Feelings are unpredictable. Analysis feels controllable. When attraction becomes intense, the mind steps in to manage what the heart finds overwhelming. There's also a subtle shift in how she presents herself. She may become more composed, more put together, more guarded in her expressions. This isn't to impress you, it's to protect herself. When emotions run deep, self-image feels more vulnerable. Composure becomes armor. Another sign is delayed honesty. She may circle around truth instead of stating it directly. Hints, metaphors, stories about other people. She's testing emotional depth without committing to it. She's watching how you respond, not to the story, but to the feeling underneath it. This is where emotional leadership matters. You don't interrogate, you don't demand clarity. You also don't withdraw into silence. You respond with grounded authenticity. You share honestly without oversharing. You name emotions calmly when they arise, without attaching pressure or expectation. That models safety more than any reassurance ever could. Men often underestimate how powerful emotional permission is. When you show that feelings can exist without urgency, without consequence, without control, you invite her out of her head and back into her body, out of analysis and into experience. You may also notice that she becomes protective of her independence right when connection deepens. She emphasizes autonomy, space, and self-sufficiency. This doesn't mean she doesn't want you. It means she wants to want you without losing herself. The distinction matters. If you react defensively to this, she retreats further. If you respect it without disappearing, trust grows. Respect tells her that connection with you doesn't require sacrifice of identity. Over time, something important happens. The intellectualization softens. The composure relaxes. The indirectness fades. Not because you asked for more, but because you created room. Hidden feelings don't need to be extracted. They need to feel safe enough to emerge. And when they do, they come with depth, loyalty, and sincerity that can't be rushed or forced. This is the kind of bond that isn't loud but lasting, built not on chasing emotion, but on understanding it. The final behavior is the most misunderstood, because it looks like restraint when it's actually intensity under control. When a woman is hiding deep feelings, she often slows everything down, the pace, the progress, the labels, not because she's unsure, but because she's very sure, and that certainty feels dangerous. Slowing down gives her time to adjust to the weight of what she feels. You might sense that she's present but cautious, interested but measured. She doesn't rush toward promises or future talk, even if the emotional connection is strong. This is not lack of desire, it's reverence mixed with fear. When something matters, rushing feels reckless. She may also become more private about the connection, less sharing with friends, less external validation. This is protective. When feelings are deep, exposure feels risky. Keeping it contained allows her to experience it without interference or judgment. Here's the truth men rarely hear. The woman who pushes you away when she wants you most is not playing a game. She's standing at the edge of emotional risk, deciding whether it's safe to step forward. And every move you make during this time is being felt more deeply than you realize. If you try to rush her, she associates desire with pressure. If you pull away to regain control, she associates honesty with loss. But if you stay steady, grounded, and self-respecting, you offer something rare, emotional safety without obligation. This is where mature masculinity becomes magnetic, not through dominance or detachment, but through calm confidence. You don't need to convince her. You don't need to extract certainty. You trust the process without losing yourself in it. When a woman feels that she can take her time without being punished, her guard lowers naturally. Desire stops fighting fear. And when that happens, the depth she brings is unmatched. Loyalty, intimacy, emotional presence. Not because she was chased, but because she chose freely. So if a woman has ever pushed you away at the moment you felt closest, don't assume rejection, assume complexity. Respond with patience, clarity, and strength. That response doesn't just change the dynamic, it changes how she experiences you. And here's the quiet truth I want you to remember. The women who feel the deepest are often the most cautious with their hearts. When you become the man who can hold space without control, affection without demand, and presence without pressure, you stop being someone she resists. You become someone she feels safe moving toward. That's not psychology as a trick. That's psychology as understanding. And understanding is what turns connection into something real, lasting, and powerful.